Okay, my friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters, Zone 5/6. We are finally getting some much needed rain. It is incredible. Past couple of days, we've had a good downpourings. So, this is wonderful. So, to celebrate this momentous occasion, I have opened up all the windows yesterday and the day before. And, so it is really hot and humid in here right now. But it's like in the 80s, super humid. But I'm just loving it. It's reminding me of living in Thailand. Yeah, living on Koh Tao. So guys, we got a lot to talk about today because the season is in full bloom. And but first, I got to do the sound check. Tahitian squash. What did I say? What did I say? Hello, Princess Jasmine. Good to see you here. VA Green. Yes, says, I'll guess on how many minutes late they will be. I'm going 7 minutes. Yeah, well, we were about 5 or 6. How about that? Okay. But you know what? It's crazy that the YouTube analytics, if you get into analytics and stuff, it actually helps because if you start right at 12 noon, then not as many people have showed up for some reason. If you start 5 minutes late, there's already like 75 people, in the chat and stuff. And so that's much better for the analytics. So once you become professional YouTuber, you have to pay attention to all that kind of stuff, which otherwise is sort of nonsense. But yes. Okay. Good. Yes, Tahitian squash. Okay, you guys got it. Thank you. Tahitian squash. Yes, speaking of that, guys. This squash is from last year, okay? And I know I continue to show it and over and over, but that's because, think of this, okay? I harvested this in September, okay? And it's still perfectly edible, perfectly good, and it's food, and it stores by itself all the time, okay? So sometimes you gotta give it the hiccup, you gotta burp it a little bit like this. Is that how you do it? You gotta burp it a little bit. Whoop. But then, yes, it's gonna provide for you all time. Outsider Attila says you might need to censor that. I know. Yes, just make sure well, never mind. So what I want to say about this though is the same thing I'm gonna say about the onions here shortly. Is that people, when I make, especially, it's mostly in the shorts and it's mostly on Instagram, but people, all the experts want to come out and tell you that how you harvested too early. See, you got to wait until it does this or that. But what I'm saying is that my methods I've developed over the years based upon what works, not based upon what I've read on the internet. And so you want to let these squash ripen totally on the vine. And then you want to let them bake in the sun for several days, even up to like 2 weeks if you can. But typically they ripen right about the time frost is coming. They can't get hit by a frost, but you want them to just roast in the sun for a number of days. Turn them if you can. Yeah. You want that whole vine to be dead, ideally. And that roasting in the sun is what stores them, is what makes them get that real hard skin and what makes them store for a long time. Okay, so it's important to do it right. You don't want to pick them when they're green and stuff and then try to let them ripen inside, although you can if you have to. And the only time you would have to is if the frost was coming. Yeah, so yes. Okay, hold on, I gotta get situated. I got so many things I want to show you guys, talk to you guys about. But the Tahitian squash just came up first, okay? So we're actually not growing it this year though, because we had our fill of squash last year. So we had like 2 plants and that was plenty, probably 40 squash from that. That was plenty of squash. And so we, it's good to take breaks and to grow certain things in abundance, and then eat them big time, and then you don't have to eat them so much. The human body, as I say a lot, the human body is a marvel of adaptation. And so it can store nutrients, vitamins and minerals and nutrients. It can store them for a long time, actually. So we are designed by the natural process to go long periods of time without certain nutrients, and that's fine so long as we flood our body with those nutrients when the time comes. It's called eating with the seasons, basically. When the plums become ripe, then you gorge yourself on a bunch of plums for those 2 to 3 weeks, and then you don't eat them again all year. Or when the Tahitian squash are here in the fall time, you eat them, over the winter, over those few months of the dark, cold winter. You eat them as much as you can, but then you don't have any of them over the summer, and you might even go 2 years without having them. Yeah? So it's a similar way with so many different things, like the peas that we just had. We gorged ourselves on the peas. I was eating them almost every night, sauteing them, making stir fries, all different kinds of stuff. And I have my fill of peas. I'm pretty much done with the peas. Because they're done as well. If you watch my latest video, then you understand that the peas are over with. And so that is the way that we want to eat out of the garden. It really is. And it's the best for the body as well. Okay? So, do you get the point? Good. I'll put this thing away now. It's warm in here, guys. I'm like literally sweating right now. So what I'm going to have is some of this amazing watermelon, mint, ginger, and lemon with the rind and everything. It's an incredible vasodilator, guys. If you want to get them blood vessels dilated and that blood pumping, then you need to get on the train, because the watermelon's got the L-citrulline in it, which the body can convert to arginine, then to nitric oxide synthase, for the body to open up them blood vessels, get them pumping like garden hoses. Really good for the body. Good blood flow is essential. And so it's been in the refrigerator, so you can make it and put it in the refrigerator for several days. But the ginger gets that blood flowing as well. So it's all about blood flow, guys. It's all about blood flow. And the more of it we have, the healthier we are. The body and also the mind. So let me just go ahead. And we all know the lemon is incredibly cleansing. I just put it all in the Vitamixer. This isn't juiced. I put it all in the Vitamixer. So we're eating the whole flesh of the lemon, flesh of the ginger, flesh of the mint, and the watermelon. Claire says, Nate, I'm trying Alibaba watermelon this year, but it has not sprouted yet. Ooh, okay. Where are you located at again? That's important. Let me know. Larry says, sounds like niacin. Yeah, similar effects except without the flush, the tingle. It more just allows your body to produce the things that it needs to produce in order to get that blood pumping. And we all know lemons are very cleansing. They have the ability to break up calcium deposits and all kinds of stuff in the body. That's why almost all natural cleansers have a lemon in them, or the fake ones now have lemon scent, because it's hardwired in our brain to understand that lemon breaks up things and cleanses and detoxifies and purifies. Yes? Wayne Caroli, I know, I was about to say the same thing. Shooting the soil, my friend, yes, says just got a Ninja slow juicer and really like it. Parts are really nice quality. I broke 2 of the cheaper brands. Yeah, I got a couple nice juicers as well. That I do like for leafy greens and stuff. We'll be doing more juices. But with the watermelon, ginger, mint, lemon, I like to eat the whole flesh. It's more like a puree is what this is. But guys, me and Shooting the Soil here, once I can get it nailed down, we're going to be doing a collaboration where he's going to put some soil stuff under the microscope and explain to you guys, we're going to do like a video together. So look forward to that, because he's got a channel himself where he does shooting the soil, like shooting under a microscope, So you can check that out. And this collaboration video will be very informative so that you can know what you're looking at. Maybe we'll try some compost tea. I think that would be really nice. Just a basic thing so you guys can understand, okay, what am I looking at? What is this long squiggly thing as opposed to this other little thing? Yes? So yeah, all that kind of stuff's very important to know. The more you know, the more passionate you can become about it. And once the passion gets in you, then it's all smooth sailing from there. So Princess Yasmin says, I love my Vitamixer. Yes, definitely. Cowgirl in Arizona. Yeah, well, this could be seen as a natural form of that. Definitely. I can definitely. So, Terry Judd or Jude, what do you think about powdered milk for calcium instead of calcium acetate? You know, it would still have to be passed through the microorganisms, and so powdered milk is fine. I mean, you can make labs out of powdered milk, but it's not going to. There's actually not a whole ton of calcium in milk. That's sort of, you know, a food industry sort of thing. You know, oh, your bones and your calcium. There's actually more calcium in many other things than there is in milk. So it's not like it's just loaded with pure calcium. Although it is good sources of bioavailable milk, calcium, definitely, but not what we're trying to do for the plants. So I would not consider that a calcium supplement. No, I would make the calcium acetate. I mean, it can't get any easier than the calcium acetate. Okay. Oh, it's pronounced Goody. Oh, Terry Goody. Oh, okay, man. This whole time I was thinking it was Judd. Judd. So I was just saying something. Okay. Oh, yes. Yes. Cowgirl. Yeah. You meant natural. Yes. That's exactly what it is. Very, very natural. And it works, guys. It works. So the Lisa T just mailed off some Hoosier sweet corn to my daughter in LA. It's an experiment. May arrive already cooked. She's homesick for homegrown Indiana corn. Yes. I just got some yesterday. Picked up 13 ears, and it's the good stuff, non-GMO, and it's really good. So guys, sweet corn is one of those things, if you live in Indiana, you know, you don't really need to be growing it. I mean, you can if you like to, and I have several years, but in a small home garden, it's not really worth its space, in my opinion. Even though corn is one of the, if not the highest calorie per acre crop, but there, you know, that can be, well, still, it's very high calorie per acre, but not really on the home garden. It's not like a really good use of space is what I found. Unless you have good space, then unless you got plenty of space and ways to protect the corn, then go ahead. But the raccoons, look at that, guys, rolling sweat down right now. The raccoons and stuff, the deer loves the corn. You know, all kinds of things loves the corn. So, yes, Sam Potzik, add beets as well. Definitely. I make another really good nitric oxide synthase stimulating drink out of beets, the whole beet, the root and the leaves, and also celery, and also then a green apple. And I eat arugula salad. Arugula is the highest green in nitrates, natural nitrates, and yet has 0 oxalates in it. So if you're concerned about the oxalic acid and the oxalates, arugula is the answer. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. And the sweet corn is, so we just buy it here. I mean, because it's so plentiful, so cheap, and so delicious. If you find a good grower that can do it right, but they're not organic. I mean, they're not like certified organic. It's non-GMO, but some certified organic Indiana sweet corn. Yeah, good luck. Ooh, AK Froggy says, last night rabbits ate all my Cylindra beets. It's because they love it. They love the taste of the minerals, the sweet compost taste. Yes, Princess Jasmine says, garden rocket is the best. Yeah, that's another name for arugula. Definitely. You must be from the UK. So, yeah, last night, so AK Froggy, you know what to do about them things. You know what to do. So, oh, Claire. So, let's see. Where were you at? Okay, I forgot. I wanted to answer your question about the watermelons. So I forget exactly. Maybe it's not going to be a year, or maybe remains to be seen. Okay, so you need to, let's see. I forget where you said that you're from, though. Anyways, if your watermelons have not come up by now, then you need to get some faster. You need to, the Alibabas are full season, okay? They can take 120 days. So they are a full season. And you don't have time for that unless, that's why I asked where you're at. Maybe you're in like Florida or something where it's just totally different. But if you are in anywhere but that, then you pretty much, well, maybe the deep south, I don't know exactly the timing, but if you're in the north, if you're not in the south, you know what I'm saying? So if you're in the north, then you need to plant like a cow baby bush. Order some seeds. If you guys want to get watermelon still this year and you're in the north, go to ufseeds.com. They're an Indiana supplier of seeds, organic seeds and stuff. They're down by Indianapolis, so I got to support them. And they have great products. I use them all the time. And so you can go there. Oh, yeah, their packages look like this. Yeah, here. Their packages look like this. And they got great stuff, great germination rates. So go to there and get Cal Baby Bush, okay? And those are going to be like 65 days, 75 days. So get them sprouting, and they don't have to. The problem with the Alibabas and the Cold Gem and the full-size watermelons, if you're in the north, they spend so much time making that infrastructure. You know, they have to get super big and stuff. So they need to be several weeks underway by now. Really, solstice is the last call in this area. Okay, you're in Southwest Virginia, so Alibaba could still work. Yeah. Okay, so you can expedite that though. Put more in the ground. I'm willing to bet they got eaten by slugs. They got eaten. So just when you plant watermelons, guys, when you're direct sowing anything really, I've learned over the years to go like 10 times beyond what you would. So if you want 2 watermelon plants, you don't plant 2 seeds. You plant like 15 seeds. And then you wait until they get a foot tall, and then you thin them out. Because you might only get, you plant 15 seeds, you might get 5. You know, and then you thin them to the strongest 2. Or whatever it is. So plant way more than you think that you need. That's just a total, in every situation, pretty much. That's the way to do it. Unless you're buying real expensive seeds, then you want to start them up, actually. But so we don't want to, another fast one that is an heirloom is Blacktail Mountain. So Blacktail Mountain from High Mowing Seeds in like New Hampshire or something like that. They have, that's a very fast 70 days, and it produces nice moderate sized watermelons. So you guys can still plant watermelons. I recommend to get on it. They've got all kinds of good nutrients in them. And it's very rewarding to grow some watermelons. Definitely. Oh man, it is so refreshing. Still not as good. These aren't the homegrown watermelons though. It's still not nearly as good as the Alibabas. The Alibaba was so delicious last year. It was mind-blowing how delicious those watermelon was, how sweet that flesh was. Yes, Scott Miller, Blacktail Mountain, that's right. Meyer Lemon says, thinning is painful. I know. It took me a long time to understand that as painful as it is to terminate perfectly healthy living plants, if you don't do that, you're going to mess up the whole. It's not going to thrive. The rest of them are not going to thrive if you don't thin it. Nancy D. Walt, I forgot to mention this. Thank you very much, my friend. $20 every week. You donating through the Cash App. Thank you very much, my friend. But you put no comment this time. I guess you just like hearing me say the name. So thank you very much. I appreciate the contribution. That's inspiring to me. And also there was another one from, let us see here. We have got Brian Airy, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, loving all the new videos, my Viking friend. Yes, and I'm loving your continued support and enthusiasm across all the channels. I appreciate that. So, yes, the Eden 3D, €10. All right, thank you, my friend. Back when I was traveling, 10 euros, the conversion rate was insane. It was like $19. So when I was traveling to Europe, it was really tough doing it. I don't know what it is now, though. Thank you. So can I save seeds from white or red cabbage? Do they bolt, flower, and set seed? If not, how can I propagate them? So cabbages are a biennial, which means that in their first year, they will produce the vegetative growth, and then they will overwinter. And then in their second year, their sole focus in life is to produce seed. So there are ways that you can trick them, or there are ways if they get really stressed, in particular from heat, then they can bolt in the same year. They can. Or if they get really drought, and then if they're stressed, they can bolt in the same year. But for the most part, to get seeds from biennials, collard greens, cabbages, Chinese cabbage, any of that kind of stuff, you know, beets, carrots, really, you have to overwinter them. Yeah. So you need to, if you live in the north, like in northern Indiana, you can just kind of forget about it. I mean, one year I had some collard greens, and even a cabbage. I had a New Brunswick cabbage. The most cold hardy cabbage I've ever found is the New Brunswick cabbage. And they overwintered because I buried them in like a foot of straw, and that helped them over the winter time. So if you really want to get seeds from your cabbages for whatever reason, then grow it and bury it in straw over the winter time. And then uncover it in the early spring, you know, March, and then boom, it's gonna set seed. Ooh, Mr. Miles says you should set up a Bitcoin address for donations too. I would love to do that, actually. That's a great idea. I don't have any Bitcoin at the moment. Yes. So the let's see here. 2Gs says, good afternoon, Nate. Had a question about the bloom fertilizer. Do you add it to your compost teas? Absolutely, you can do that. Yes. Now, the bloom fertilizer is very high in potassium and many other nutrients, but very, very low in nitrogen. Almost no nitrogen in there. And so that is really, it depends what plants you're growing. So like when I was growing in Northern California, once the plants set their flowers, you don't want them to, you don't want to encourage them. You can't force plants to do anything. You can encourage them though. So you don't want to encourage them to put out more leafy growth, because that will make the flowers really larvae and airy. And you want dense, heavy, odoriferous, resinous flowers for those plants. So you would limit the nitrogen once that flower set happens. You limit the nitrogen, but you still want to give it the potassium, the phosphorus, the magnesium, the calcium, sulfur, all that stuff. So that's really what that was designed for. When you're growing those kind of flowers, you know, totally organically. But yes, you can definitely add it to your, I mean, it's kind of the same with peppers and tomatoes and stuff like that. So once they really start to set fruit, they don't need, I mean, once they're into their fruiting and ripening, you don't need any much more nitrogen. So yes, you can add it to the compost tea, add it after the brewing process, okay? Anything that has labs in it, you add after the brewing process. So I'll be coming out with a couple more videos. I'll be coming out with a foliar only bloom specific tea that I used to use all the time. So we'll just be brewing it in the 5-gallon buckets, because we apply this only with a sprayer, and we apply it at a very strong rate, half and half water, half solution. So and that will be specifically for the bloom. But the banana fertilizer, definitely, man, that you can add that. It is so good for stuff. I mean, and because there's molasses in it, and there's the banana and the labs and stuff, it's been enzymatically digested. It's basically banana hydrolysate, more or less, enzymatically digested and made more plant available. So you can add that stuff. If you're doing 55-gallon drum of aerated compost tea, which I'm currently doing, to apply tomorrow night, then you know, after the brewing process, right before you apply it, you could add 2 cups, 3 cups if you wanted of the bloom fertilizer. Yeah. VA Green says, I use 1 ounce per gallon of the bloom fertilizer. Definitely. Yeah, totally. You know, a lot of these things can be homeopathic. I mean, a lot of them, you know, K&F, Korean Natural Farming, they're all about 1 to 1,000. Most of their things are diluted 1 to 1,000. That is like less than a teaspoon per gallon. You know, I mean, almost nothing, it seems like. But the plants can pick up on it. You know, the plants can receive it. Man, Mountainside Homestead says, Nate, my beans have been attacked by the bean seed fly. What should I do to treat this problem and how often? Okay, I don't know if I've made a video about this yet. It would have been a short, but oh yeah, we talked about it on here, didn't we? Several weeks ago. So let me pour a cup of tea real quick. This is lemongrass and 3 different kinds of mint and chamomile and basil, lime basil from the Tennessee family. Super delicious. Yes. Okay. Now, the bean seed fly larva, a very unfortunate circumstance. Now, I have purposely, I've dedicated this small plot specifically for that because the bean seed fly larva ate all of the beans. I planted a whole run, like 30 plants of Kalima bush green beans, and every one of them got decimated. They'd start to sprout and then, start to sprout and then, and then you'd pick it up and it'd be all just dangling. It looked like damping off disease, but it was outside in healthy living soil that I know is thriving and rich. And so it was unlikely that it was damping off disease. So I pulled them up and then I looked inside and there was little larvae inside of the stem. And I showed you guys a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a month ago. So what did I do? I applied, because I want to figure out a way for you guys how to cure this. I didn't just plant something else there and move on like I would normally do if it was my own, if it was just me. I wouldn't, again, plant beans right there. I would, okay, hold on, guys. I would plant something else and move on. So instead, I want to figure out the solution. So what I did was I applied JDOM sulfur at super strong rate at 1 ounce for 2.5 gallons. Okay, so about 1/2 ounce a gallon. All right, very strong. And then I applied 3 ounces a gallon of the JDOM wetting agent, and I soaked the area with that. Now, that is a very strong dilution rate. And it was also Jerusalem artichoke at about a cup per gallon is what I did. So that was the strongest JDOM pesticide that really can happen, all right? So I applied it to the soil and raked it in a little bit and then replanted the beans. Now, it's interesting what it's done to the soil. Having that high concentration of sulfur has kind of like, well, the soil is kind of, it like lost its aggregate capability, you know? So it's really strange what it's done. It's almost like a dust now. It's really, really fine, the top, inch of the soil. And so that was a really strong rate, but still I got to figure out how to get these things out. And so I replanted, and about 25% of them now have sprouted and are growing. So there's that. But it's not 100%, not even close. They're definitely still getting decimated. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to try another one. I'm going to try like a peppermint, really strong peppermint and marigold herbal solution and apply that. And we'll see. We'll see. I got to figure out what it is though, so that I can give you the solution. Yeah. 2G says, can't wait for the Bloom Fert video. Thank you. You answered all my questions and more. Loving the channel. Yes. Glad to hear, my friend. Let's see here. Karen Carson. What is, wait a second, Big Way. Okay. I'm getting confused. Anyways, let's see here. Okay. $10. Jessica Starr. Thank you very much, my friend. Via PayPal. Says, hey, Nate, I have Moon and Stars watermelon growing in 20-gallon grow bags. They're a large variety. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I narrowed down to 2 vines to grow in either direction and guiding it along the top of the rest of the grow bags to act as a soil canopy. Okay, good idea. Very good. So I'm primarily growing for the foliage. They're speckled with lime green dots. But is there anything you'd recommend for getting a successful fruit? They're speckled with lime green dots. They're typically supposed to be like that. They're a variegated thing, or you've got cucumber beetles, because that's what it sounds like to me. Speckled with lime green dots is the cucumber beetle damage, or it could be mosaic virus. It could be downy mildew, the beginning of downy mildew. So you could put pictures, if that's the question, you could put pictures to the Discord chat under garden pictures or pest issues, either one, and then tag me in those. Or you can put them to your Instagram and tag me in them. But the, 20-gallon grow bags, that's not really a lot for a watermelon. So you're going to have 2 watermelons in there. That's, and if they're a large variety, see, well, I would have chose a different variety. I would have chose a smaller variety, like the blacktail, or, there's other varieties. I forget the exact ones. There's other varieties that we've done that are much smaller. So that's what I probably would have done. I wouldn't have grown a large variety in 20-gallon grow bags, because watermelons can put down root systems that are 20 feet around, 20 feet in diameter. So they really like to spread out and have a lot of root space. So a 20-gallon grow bag is going to be limiting. So what I suggest is to make it really rich. Make sure it is rich, and then make sure that it is constantly irrigated, especially when they get closer to maturity. If you have some kind of drip irrigation, that would be the best. They will need daily watered, because those roots, if that's full of good enough material, those roots are going to fill that entire bag, no problem. So, and especially, it didn't say if it was plastic or cloth, but if it's cloth, they're going to dry out every day. They're going to need watered. So just letting you know. So it might even be a candidate for one of those, come up with some kind of clever way to put, like the pot type irrigation, the clay irrigation, things like that. A little bit gimmicky in most circumstances, but they can work in some circumstances. VA Green says, could you place the smaller grow bag into a bigger grow bag? Once they're growing, do not move the bag. I know that, because grow bags cannot be moved, or should not be moved if you want full growth, because they're going to grow, and you move that and all kinds of roots are going to get broken. I know this. Ask me how I know this. What, cowgirl? It's got to say goodbye? Okay, we'll see you Monday morning for meditation and personal development. Much love, Brother Nate. Yes, my friend. Thanks for stopping by. Monday on the Thrive channel, we're going to have a good topic, piggybacking off the last couple of weeks. Monday's live, Thrive Live, is going to be something like the difference between ego and taking pride in something. So we're going to discuss. We've been discussing the ego mind, and its effect on our lives. So you can join us there, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, on the Thrive Like a Viking channel, if you'd like, if that's your kind of thing. If not, no problem. Teats Treats says, my onions look better this year than ever before, all due to your onion video. Thank you. Yes, thank you, my friend. I'm so glad. Noble Dar, $5. Thank you, my friend. Says, finished removing scapes, grass mulch. Fish, chicken, rabbit, liquid fertilizing has a great harvest in a few weeks. Dwarf peas ready for nitrogen boost. Yes, definitely. Dwarf peas. Now, where are you at? So here in northern Indiana, we have to wait until about August 1st, the last week of July. Because if we plant peas now, it's still going to be too blazing hot. They're going to shut down and not grow very well. So if we wait until the last week of July to plant dwarf varieties, we're going to get a good fall harvest. And you can guarantee we're going to be planting boatloads of peas because we have our trellis set up on a pea cucumber rotation. So if you watched my most recent video, I explained to you why and I show you why and how. But we plant peas in the early spring and we get a bunch of peas, yes, but as the heat comes, they start getting fibrous and they start getting starchy, so we pull those and then we plant cucumbers, pickling cucumbers, also China jade cucumbers, also Richmond green apple cucumber this year. Also sometimes the market more, but not this year. So it's just the Chicago pickling, the jade, China jade, and the Richmond green apple, because I love those for juicing. So sweet, so flavorful, so crisp. And then those are going to grow and produce a whole boatload of stuff over the next month and a half, but then they're going to kind of fade out. And so the last week of July, while the cucumber plants are still in the ground and growing, we are going to plant peas. We're going to soak the peas for 12 hours, and then we're going to plant them while the other ones are still growing. And then the peas are it's going to take about 2 to 3 weeks before the peas will sprout and get to be about that tall. And at that point, the cucumbers are done. So we're just going to cut the cucumbers down carefully so that we don't cut the peas down. We're not going to just rip them all out. We're going to cut them at ground level and pull all the cucumbers out. And then the peas are going to grow up so that by September, October, as it's cooling off, we are going to get huge runs of peas. And the fall peas are the best. The fall peas are the best because the pea plant senses that the days are getting colder. And as it senses this, it says, okay, well, in order to keep our precious parts from getting damaged, we need to convert some of our starches into sugars because the sugar water will freeze at a lower temperature than regular water because of the suspension. And so it naturally knows to do this to protect itself from the frost. So as it gets cooler, the plants get sweeter. The peas get way sweeter. It's so delicious. That effect is the most pronounced on peas. Fall peas, after it's a gentle frost a couple of times, they're the best. Yes. Hello, Manish. Yes, Big West says green apple, celery, and carrot juice. A classic. Yes. Look to Nature says the green apple cucumbers are actually growing for me. It's been about 2 years since I've had a successful cucumber vine. Wow. Yes. Okay, good. Good. Noble Dar says, yes, the peas will go into garlic plots. Definitely, that's a good rotation. Hogue says, Nate, when is your last frost date up there? Halloween-ish? It is October 9th. Yeah, so not even close to Halloween, but October 9th. Yep. May 15th to October 9th. Let us see here. Meyer Lemon says, thank you, Nate. Even though I was late getting the onions in, followed your advice and fed them every night, and they are looking great. How often to water them until harvest? Well, that depends on where you're at. I forget exactly where you're at. If you're getting rainfall, you don't need to water them much. But if you've mulched them properly, so if you've done the board method, then after a few weeks, once they're established and you start to see upward growth, remove the board. Okay, North Idaho. So you should be getting enough rain, I would think. You should be getting enough rain. And after you remove the boards, you want to put the grass clippings. Grass clippings is the best. So when you put the grass clippings on there, that's going to hold that moisture in, and that is what peas or onions like. That's really the key, is to make it so that the onions are not buried in soil and don't dry out. So that's okay. You mulch them with garden straw. That should work. As long as everything's staying moist, that'll work. That'll work, yes. So you don't need to, other than feeding them, like with compost teas and stuff, you don't need to water them too much because peas have very shallow roots, actually. So they can be overwatered. If your peas or your garlic starts really yellowing, it's overwatering. That's what happened to my garlic this year because in the early spring, we had a super wet spring where it was just cold. After the garlic was already a foot tall, it just was raining nonstop and it didn't, nothing dried out. And so I had prepared for the opposite last year, and I planted them in a different location. I planted them in the wet location of the garden because the past handful of years it's been dry, and it's been dry this year up until a couple days ago. So, but in the early spring they were getting tons of water, and so it damaged the roots definitely because they sat in soggy water for a little while. That's not good. Freebird says, good question, Val. I don't know when to harvest my flowers either. Let's see. Where's Val question? Let's see here. Val says, hey, Nate, got the berry picker device. I think my chamomile flowers are too small. They slip through the tines. Am I harvesting the flowers too early? Probably, and they might not be fed enough. The chamomile is actually very hungry, so you can have rich soil for those chamomile. So the chamomile you want to harvest when the flowers, the white petals, are downward, even in the middle of the day. So you will see right before they start to fall off, the white flowers. So if they're still totally straight out, collecting all the good stuff, attracting the pollinators, then that's too early. So ideally you want to wait until, even at 12 noon, the flowers are downturned like that. That's when they're ready. Because soon they're going to drop the flower petals and just have the white or the yellow part remain. So you want to get them when they're like that. Now, it helps to grip a whole mass of the chamomile flowers and put them all the way to the very bottom of the tines and pull back on it. A lot of mine want to slip through as well, but that's okay because if they slip through, then they're just not big enough yet. They'll grow up and get bigger. Especially once you start picking the plant, then it's going to signal to the plant, oh no, we're being attacked, so we need to multiply our chances for reproduction. And it will send out a frenzy of new shoots, of new flowers. Yeah. So let's see here. A couple of things here, guys. So the onions. Okay, I'm gonna make a short on this pretty soon, but now I released a video. Actually, I released the same video, the short that I released last year on onions. It was my most viewed video ever. It was like 5 million views. It was a short on Instagram, 5 million views, and so I released it again just like Monday, and it's already got 700,000 views. So there's something about it that is really good. But no doubt, so. There's already like 1,000 comments on that video, and there's several thousand on the other video from last year. And so many people that want to try and tell me, hey, who wants to tell this clown that he should have waited until all of his necks fall over? You're out here giving wrong advice to people. You harvested your onions way too early. Now, anyone that is on Instagram trying to spit out that advice to someone who's just trying to share knowledge, for one, they're not a real grower. I don't care what they say. They don't have the spirit of the earth in them when they're talking to other people like that, okay? So, one, you have to show respect. For two, most of those people, and I know through questioning in certain ways, not direct questioning, but replying to certain things and then checking certain people's profile. I don't get too deep into it anymore, but at first I did. I was like, how dare you? But now it doesn't bother me at all. Because you look at their profile and stuff, or you just kind of maybe reply a little bit and then get their response, and you find out that most of these people don't even grow. They don't even have gardens. And they don't have any pictures of anything growing. They're just keyboard warriors. And so they're just there. They read or they saw a bunch of other, they're just into gardening videos maybe. So they saw a bunch of other ones that say, you got to wait until that top falls over. And so that's it in their mind. Okay, well, that's fine. But my personal firsthand experience over the years is different. And my mind is it's not so much scientific as it is like exploratory. My mind, I will try out so many different things to find out what is the most effective thing. So, and I have found over the years that waiting until just a couple of the onions start to fall over, then harvest the entire crop. Okay? Don't get obsessed with having huge onions. How do I grow these big, monstrous, pumpkin-sized onions? Well, who cares? I mean, if that's your goal. If that's your goal, then that's different. But look at this. These are onions from last year, guys. If you could feel this thing, it is rock hard. It's as hard as the day it was harvested, okay? I mean, so to have onions store that, and this one is hard. It's just starting to get a little bit tender to the touch, the skin. Hear that? Just starting to get a little bit tender. And so I know what I'm talking about because I've done it over the years. And I know if you wait until all the necks are falling down, they will not store as long. They just don't store as long. You want to wait until just you see a few of the necks starting to fall over, whole crop gets harvested. Okay? Because, and VA Green says big does not equal top quality. Absolutely. And people are so obsessed with, well, I grew these big onions. Well, who cares? That's also genetics. You know, you can grow big anything. If you have the right genetics. It's like the whole electroculture nonsense. You see all these pictures, people start talking about electroculture, and they have these huge, massive, cabbages that heads on them like this, and big, giant pumpkins, and huge. But what they don't tell you, they just imply that that's because of these silly, pointless little antennas. No. What they don't tell you is that it's purely a result of genetics. Okay? They're the giant Dutch white flat cabbage or something. There's cabbage varieties, there's cucumber varieties, there's all kinds of stuff that genetically will just grow to be massive. Okay, so I've planted some Mongolian giant sunflowers, and I know those things are going to get this big around because I've grown them before. They get huge heads. Now, I could just make a video where I hold up my electroculture antenna and hold up that huge head and imply that that's the result. So even though it's not, it's genetics. So it's all about genetics, guys. And well, I'm going to continue on this rant for a moment, but I want to, Maniac has asked this question several times. Will the ultimate slug solution work on roundworms? I'm sorry, I don't know what roundworms are. That's why I haven't answered it. I have no idea what roundworms are. So I don't know. Probably, if they're a soft-bodied creature and you spray it directly on them, it's going to really irritate them. Okay. So that's that's why I didn't answer it. But well, the proof is just okay. But the proof is just in the stuff. That's the thing. It's like, okay, so are we trying to regurgitate knowledge that we know, or are we trying to grow the biggest onions ever? Are we in a onion growing size competition? No. Are we trying to grow nutrient-dense produce that stores as long as possible because it's healthy? It's got all the calcium it needs, the sulfur that it needs, everything it needs. That's a sign it's got everything that it needs. This is from almost a full year ago. 11 months. Still fresh, okay? And then also, how thriving are you? That's the ultimate gauge. By eating all this stuff that you're growing, are you thriving? Yes? That's the ultimate gauge. So anyways, Brian Airy says, love a good Nate rant. Okay, thank you. I'm glad you guys can tolerate that, because sometimes, I'm a person that a lot of passion flows through me. And so I really tone it down a lot of times on here, but it's good to express. It's good to express, sometimes. But doing it live is a trip, I can tell you that. Okay, DLR says roundworms are something that infect cats and dogs, maybe other species too. That's what I thought. Okay, that's what I thought. So I don't know about that. I mean, where would you, if it came out of the animal and you saw it, I would just smash it. I would do something, I would not take a chance, you know? The ultimate slug solution is so that you can spray it on the plants and it doesn't hurt the plants and it destroys the soft-bodied creatures. So, Raphael Brunk says, "Are you by any chance of German descent? I have always asked myself that question. You do sound a bit German?" Yes, well, mostly Scandinavian. My father's side is Scandinavian, Norwegian. Now, my mother's side, maiden name Rimchisel, and so they're like Northern Germanic. So, yes and no. Yes, I mean, I myself have not was not born there. No. But the accent is probably you're hearing just what I've picked up from traveling. There was 10 years where I left my hometown and I went traveling in the world. And so I picked up a lot of different accent. Ruben Van Eyck says, "First time seeing you live. Love the content." Nice. Glad you're here. David Gallego says, "I like to take notes when I watch this show." That's a great idea. Hawk Spirit Weaver says, "Thanks, Nate. May have some questions next week. Starting on brewing some fertilizers. Waiting on a couple ingredients. Appreciate you." Yes. Thank you, my friend. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. So, yes, if you have any questions, let me know. Dread says, "The hammerhead worm is real. I seen it one year, never again." Yeah, we don't have those here, but I have seen them on videos, and but I've never seen them here. So Maniac 300 says, "Feral cat." Okay, so you're concerned about roundworms because of the feral cat. Now we're getting to it. I am not concerned about that in the soil. I don't know anything about that, but maybe if someone does, then they would be able to comment. Donald Hughes, $5 via PayPal. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, "Early membership for July for Viking Knowledge and my 70th birthday, July 2nd. Happy birthday, my friend. Coming right up. Learning all kinds of new stuff at 70 years old. That's what we like to hear." Alberto, $5. Thank you for the continued support, my friend. Joshua Nelson says, "You are freaking awesome, dude. Thank you for the enthusiasm. I appreciate that." Fluffy Ferret Farm says, "My 55th birthday today. Happy birthday, Fluffy Ferret." So the Sal A says, "Hi Nate, important question. I have weed that's broken down to compost, but it's full of brown ants. Can I use this for my crops, mainly potatoes around the root area?" So I would, if you're concerned about it, you could let the compost be exposed to the sun for a few hours. The ants will move out. The ants will move out fast. So you can do something like that, or you can just not really worry about it. They probably will not do any damage. I mean, unless you're talking about those, like when down in Tennessee, how you've got those fire ants that just make a huge mound, and those are really bothersome. Those are an issue. So I don't really have a clear answer to that. I would have to see the situation and feel it out. If it feels like it'd be a problem, then yes. Mountainside Homestead says, "I just got a 44-pound bag of azomite, kelp meal, and new stainless steel French press all through your Amazon link." Thank you, my friend. And anyone else that you want to buy anything through Amazon, use the links. Even if it's not in my storefront, just go to Amazon through there. I appreciate that. And I can tell you guys are doing it because there's been an uptick in the Amazon commission. So thank you. Let's see here. Sam Potzek says, you're going on a cross-country bike ride? Already did all that, guys. Rode my motorcycle, rode my dirt bike across the country. And rode bicycle through Spain and Morocco and stuff. So I'm good on most of that now. Princess Jasmine says, question, can I plant cover crops over weeds or do I need to pull them all up? You can plant them over weeds. If there's something really aggressive like winter rye or winter wheat, I've done that. I've planted winter rye in such a way that in the fall, like once the frost has came or almost gonna come, and just mowed down, like almost scalped the ground with a mower, and then threw out huge amounts of winter rye, and then just kept it watered, and that's it. And then the next spring, the whole thing was a huge, thick mess, a thick mat of just winter rye. And the winter rye ended up being like 5 feet tall. There was no weeds popped up in there because the winter rye crowded out everything. Yeah. Yes, Freebird says, I need to remember the Amazon link for you, Nate. Buy probably too much from them. Yes, if you do any shopping at all on Amazon, use the link in the description of the video to get in there. That's one easy way that you can do it, that you can support the channel. Andrea Brown says, Nate, does a subscription through your store help continually? It will, yes. Although I don't know if I have any subscription products, but it does definitely, because it's just each time the purchase. Yes, it will. Thank you. Although it won't matter if if you just go in there and get subscriptions to anything through the link. Yes. Okay, Hogue, $10. Thank you, my friend. Says, Nate, how do you deal with flies? I use tons of fly paper, making me wonder if I'm really reducing waste by having a compost pile. I've caught thousands this year. So what is the source of these flies? So you're talking about like black flies? What is the source of them? That's what I would try and figure out. Is where are all the flies coming from? Why? What is the food source? What is the reproduction grounds looking like? Why are the conditions so ideal for them to be there? That's what I'd be wondering. So I can't really say anything. Yeah, because I've just never had that problem. Flies, like at my dad's old house out in the country, his neighbor had several beef cattle, and it was all like cooped up in a small pen, and there was like manure all over the place, and there was just tons of flies, and they would land on his house and stuff and leave little droppings and all that. So we knew that, he knew that the source of the flies was the cows, of course, and their environment that they make. So so once the guy got rid of the cows, once the neighbor, he got too old and he was like, all right, it's not worth it. So he got rid of the cows, no more flies. So something like that is how I would do flies. I would figure out why are they there, and I would eliminate that. Oh yeah, AK Froggy says, my compost pile is a breeding ground for fruit flies. Oh, 100%. Billions, it seems. Probably not that many, but hundreds of thousands, definitely. That's just part of it. They easily compost things. They easily compost things. Let's see. Meyer Lemon says, red clover as cover crop in raised beds a good idea? It can be, yes, definitely. How are you going to terminate it and when? That's the main thing. Unless you're going green manure where you till it in, then it doesn't matter when you terminate it. But if you are going to do no-till, you need to know what you're going to plant next and when. So $5. Thank you, Will. Appreciate that via the PayPal link. $5. Thank you, my friend. Oh, it's Big Will Dog. Okay. Sorry, I read the name out loud. Sorry. Nate, what did you think of my tomato butternut squash raised bed photos on Discord? All done with compost and organic fertilizer. Yes. Guys, check out, if you haven't already, check out on the Discord chat, which there's a link in the description. You can get on there. Look out. I think it's under the garden pictures place. Check out Big Will Dog's setup. He's got these wicking beds. He's got some very specialized types of growing setups. And so, yes, I like it very much. It works wonderful for you. And there's tons of produce coming out of those. And they're growing really fast. So, because we're pretty early still in the season yet. So I like it. I like it. Very well done. So guys, check that out if you want to get some inspiration to that. And let me know if you see those photos and you want to next year now, but maybe next year we could do a little tutorial. I could go down there, or he could come up here if he's up here, and we could do he could set one up, and then we could do a video on that. I'd be down for that. So Freebird, $20. Thank you, my friend, for your continued support. I appreciate you. $20 via Cash App. And it says, you're the best, Nate. I love the tribe. Yes, definitely. That's why we love you being here. Yes. So thank you, guys. Deb R says, any advice for growing fall fennel? Never grown it before. Grow it, plant it once and let it go to seed, and that's it. You'll never get rid of it. So that's what I've come up with. Oh, Hogue says, Nate, my flypaper is above the compost pile. I assume that's the source. So yeah, I mean, that would be like trying to, well, I don't know what to compare. I can't think off the top of my head, but no, that's a losing battle. Yeah, there's going to be flies in the compost, thousands of them. And that's just part of it. Their larva is really good at breaking things down. So yeah, that's a losing uphill battle. So you will just get over and over and over again. Now, if you are in a place that's unacceptable, if you're in a place where having that many flies is just unacceptable, like in a densely populated area or something like that, then try a tumbler. I typically do not like compost tumblers because they're not in contact with the ground, but they can be useful in certain situations. So if you have, because you'll tumble it every day, or every time you add stuff, you'll be tumbling it, and that tends to limit the flies. And you can spray labs on there as well. If it really got to you, you could spray some BT on there, if you wanted to. Although I don't know if it will work on those larvae. No. Yeah, I mean, if you're having to spray the ultimate slug solution on there to melt them, then it's like, don't even bother composting. Noble Dar says, Nate, do you have a link for purchasing compost worms? No, but I will here in the future. That's a great idea. I forgot about that. Yes, definitely. So, several things, guys. Now, one of the most useful garden tools is the skull crusher. Yep. Although mine was lost for 2 years. I've had this thing for about 8 years now, 10 years probably. When I was living in the mountains, this was the single most useful tool that I had. I know it doesn't look like much, but you could, if I was on an island or something and had to only bring one tool, it would be this. It's virtually indestructible, and you could build a cabin, you could build shelters with it. When I was living in the woods, off-grid and stuff, using a lot of natural materials, I was using this thing constantly to fashion structures and stuff like that. It's fantastic. Lots of heft and knockdown power, all right? So really, it's called the Skull Crusher by Tops Knives. But here's the thing, good luck trying to get one. You can't order them off Amazon anymore. You can't order them, really. You have to go to a dealer now to get them. So our closest dealer is way in Ohio, like several hours away. I'm not jumping through all those hoops. But if somebody wanted to, I'm just putting it out there. If somebody wanted to really do something nice for us, for the channel, and wanted to get me another one, that would be very deeply appreciated, and send it to me. But they are like $300. So just putting that out there. But the super useful, guys, if you spend a lot of time outside and stuff, then you will understand what I mean. When you find a good tool, this thing is just unbelievable. The leverage, I mean, you can cut down brush, trees, sharpen stuff, notch stuff. It's awesome. Yeah, this was an aftermarket case, which I don't like because look, this is open right here. So if somebody ever grabbed this thing right here like that, and they tried to pull this thing out, boom, that thing would virtually cut their finger off. I mean, yeah, that's why I just put it like that and leave it. But a close second, guys, for doing, see, I use this to do all kinds of stuff in the garden still, harvesting and all kinds of stuff. Doesn't matter if it hits a rock, it doesn't even matter. It's so hard. But a close second, guys, is this thing, okay? If you are into working outside, this thing is its own type of indestructible. I mean, it is a Fiskars, but it is, see, it's Fiskars brand. This thing, you can cut down all sorts of stuff with this. I mean, just whack, whack, whack. You can put your full force into it and it doesn't bend, it doesn't break. This thing will clear brush real fast. It's that hook right there, all that leverage. So maybe I'll put it in the Amazon storefront, but I was just letting you guys know because it's very useful. Yeah. D18 says, I wasn't sure about that one because of the sulfur and Epsom salt, but I'll definitely try it. Ooh, what are you talking about here? Because typically the Epsom salt, the magnesium sulfate is really a good addition to things. Let's see, I want to see okay. D18 says, I'm trying to make a homemade CalMag. I know that I can use eggshells and vinegar, but now not sure what to use to add mag. Any suggestions for what I can use for mag? Definitely Epsom salt. I mean, if you're trying, definitely. And the magnesium sulfate, the sulfur is always wanted, especially, well, what are you trying to grow? What are you trying to use it for? That's the key. What are you trying to use it for? Okay. Kenny Martin, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, picked up horse goat mix, a year old, still has urine smell, likely some Manure. What would be best and fastest way to make usable soil from it? Had a bad load of soil and suffering in half the garden. Ooh, what do you mean bad load? Just not nutrient rich? So typically when we get like commercial, even if they call it a compost, no matter how good those commercial places call their soil, it's garbage. It really is, because they're making it for the profit. So they're trying to make it fast, and they'll just use woody stuff and they'll put enzymes in it to make it break down faster. It's not the good quality stuff. Even if they say it is, even if they're charging you an arm and a leg for it. But so the best way to make, does it have the bedding with it? Because just hot compost it. You can hot compost it. You can add some labs to it. If you're cold composting it, you can add plenty of labs to it. But turn it often and keep it covered out of the elements, but keep it moist. Hot compost it, basically. That is definitely the way to do. Definitely. D18 says, I bet I'll be posting up a pic when I get it done. Man, we don't, you must be about my age, because we used to say bet all the time, but we don't say that much anymore. I never hear that. Says, I'll post a pic when I get it done. I've had the eggshells already sitting in vinegar. I think it should be ready by now. So what is the plants that you're trying to use, or do you not want to say? I get it. So Meyer Lemon says, Nate, Amazon has an XSB skull crusher up for $220. Is that the right one? It's going to be the small one. Don't get fooled. It's going to be this. They made like a miniature version of it. And because this one is $300 at least. So they made a miniature version of it now but we're not about that life. Okay, we need the full size skull crusher, and there's no way they're selling it for $220 a full size one. Okay. Gary Smith, $30. Thank you, my friend. Says, thanks for all you do. Love making compost tea, and the plants are loving it. Yes, they are. Absolutely, guys. Compost tea is virtually everything that the plants need. It really is. So, Kisa's Kitchen says, thank you so much for all your tips. I am blown away by the fertilizers and everything. You saved my garden business and saved me so much money. Yes, that's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. Kenny Martin, $5. Thank you again, my friend. Says, if I do that, can it be just the manure or do I need to add? Okay, so if there's the bedding though, so like typically with horse manure, there's going to be bedding, and especially if you get it from like a really high-end equestrian place, there'll be a ton of bedding in it because they want to keep it really clean. You know, if it's from like someone's personal horse stall, then they tend to let it go much longer. You know what I mean? So it'll be a lot higher manure to bedding ratio. If it is just the manure though, if you somehow have like sifted it or something, then horse manure you can compost by itself. It's already the perfect combination of browns and greens and bacteria and everything. So you can compost the horse manure by itself. Yes. If it's got tons of bedding in it, then the fastest way would be to get rid of some of the bedding, to sift it out a little bit. One of them manure forks, you know, like a Tractor Supply that look kind of like the berry harvesting device, except they're much bigger and it's like a shovel. That kind of thing could work to let some of the sawdust or whatever they're using, wood chips. So yeah, but if you have to use the bedding, if it's straw bedding, then you can add some more nitrogen, add some urine, start saving up the golden nectar and add that. Because remember, the engine in a hot compost pile in fast compost, the engine of decomposition is bacteria. And the gasoline for that engine is nitrogen. So the more nitrogen, the faster it will decompose. That's why fresh grass clippings that you just cut and you put into a pile, they will start to heat up and they will be scalding hot within hours. Within hours. You put your hand in there and it will literally scald your hand because of how much nitrogen and activity there is. As opposed to if you take that same grass clippings and you rake them out and you let the nitrogen evaporate until the grass clippings are brown, then you put it together, it'll stay like that for indefinitely without decomposing. That's how they make hay and straw, you know? Because there's no nitrogen. It's just pure carbon. Yes? Kenny Martin, another $5. Thank you, my friend. Says, high quality used sawdust, but already broken down. Okay, so then I would hot compost it, put it all into a big pile. Add urine, add labs, add some JMS, add an aerated compost tea if you want. If you can, I would add the aerated compost tea and just soak it with all the good stuff. And then turn it and then cover it. And then in 2 days later, turn it again. Monitor, if you really want to do it right, get the compost thermometer and monitor the temperature. Make sure that you're up at least above the 130s, you know. Make sure that you're up there, but not too hot to where it's breaking things down, to where things start to die off, you know. So hot composting is totally different. I'll be making a video before too long on that. But that sawdust will soak up a lot of the nitrogen, liquid nitrogen that you try to add. So that is what I would do. Kenny Martin, another $5, says, forgot the comma after high quality. Okay, thank you, my friend. High quality, comma, used sawdust, but already broken down, period. Okay, thank you, period. Exclamation. Yes, so that is what I would do. And you definitely want to get the microorganisms happening in there. So the goat manure is, you could add that in there with it. Goat manure you could actually add right to the soil. It's much more benign. Yeah, the issue with the horse manure always is going to be the weed seeds. The horses do not digest the food nearly as thoroughly as the cow does. And so there's a lot more weed seeds in the horse manure. So if you hot compost it properly, you will eliminate a lot of that. Okay? So guys, don't let me forget to tell you about these potatoes. Stone Creek says, Nate, question mark. Nate, I think I have too much nitrogen in some of my garden beds. What to do? Yeah, too much nitrogen from what? And what are the symptoms? I mean, what are you thinking that that's from? So I feel you. I mean, I'm there in some of my plots as well because I got overzealous the past several years making videos trying to add much more than I naturally would. But if you have too much nitrogen, it's good to plant a nitrogen hungry crop. Try some corn. Plant some corn there. Yeah, that will just pull the nitrogen out of the soil. And you could plant a very fast growing sweet corn, like a Fisher's Earliest sweet corn. Yeah, and that will pull the nitrogen out of the soil in a heartbeat. And then, yeah, that's really what do you have the opportunity? Beans, no. Beans would not do it. Okay, Stone Creek says yellow leaves and cow manure. Okay, yellow leaves would not. Okay, cow manure. Ooh, okay. You might put some pictures to the Discord chat because you start talking about cow manure and my first thought is contaminated manure, unless you are sure. That's the issue with using that stuff now. Is that it's all become so contaminated. And so because yellow leaves would not be a sign of too much nitrogen, really. Signs of too much nitrogen are overgrowth, where you plant something and it will grow so the leaves are super big and they're really dark green and they're really flimsy. They're like thick and swollen, but they're soft. You try to bend them and they break, or your finger goes right through them, and they're really like I can't think of the word, but like crepe, or that's not. Think of like a crepe, like that kind of texture. So, and then they will bolt as well. They will also bolt. So that can be a sign of high nitrogen. Or in your tomato crop, really high nitrogen will make super deformed tomatoes. It's called cat facing. High nitrogen, also high temperatures, but high nitro can cause that kind of bunch of gnarly looking stuff on your tomatoes, the real deformed stuff. I've got that on a couple of my tomatoes because I got overzealous. Well, not overzealous. I just wanted to test the upper limits of the Viking granular fertilizer. So I added a lot to the tomatoes this year, and they're Jurassic. Already they're Jurassic. They're almost as tall as me. And there's tons of tomatoes all over the place, but a lot of them are cat-faced, very cat-faced. So that's definitely from a very, very rich environment. Let's see here. Kenny Martin says, I forgot a dot exclamation question mark. Yes, thank you very much, funny guy. Thank you very much for the contributions, Kenny. Let's see here. Okay, so many things. Okay, so guys, I am one of the things, I'm thinking that we're going to do a major garden overhaul this fall. I mean major, to where I'm going to pull everything out, all the wood chips, all this. I'm going to pull everything out. Super mega till. Yes, I know. Super mega till. And then re-implement beds. Just 2x6 probably, maybe 2x6 raised beds. and then mulch pathways. Now I'm doing this because the garden symphyllins are getting out of hand. And really the only way that they say to control it, I mean, I'm trying many different things, is to overtill the soil, to destroy the structure of the soil. I know that sounds ridiculous. So I might just end up doing that. I don't know. And then install drip lines, install irrigation. So we'll see. It'll be a major garden overhaul, but it'll make for some good videos, that's for sure. And it will definitely work really well because I'll be able to implement the exact techniques, structure that I want to in these beds. So we'll see. But that's leading into the thing. Okay, so I harvested the garlic, and okay, Stone Creek says, I am really disliking raised garden containers. What do you mean? You're not talking about raised beds, right? Because the raised beds I'm talking about are ideal. We're just talking about taking the native soil and raking it out of the rows and putting it into the bed. 2x6, 2x10, 2x8, 2x12 if you have enough soil. That's great. But then it's open to the bottom underneath. And so it's really just a few inches of raised, but the roots go into the actual earth. So it's like a combo, But yeah, containers and stuff totally disconnected from the earth. Nah, I don't like that either. That's right, guys. Hit the like button. So in that area where I harvested some of the garlic, we've got the garden symphyllins, of course. So according to James Prigioni and several other internet sources, the symphyllins, they either are poisoned by the potatoes or they just don't like the potatoes, which I think that's the case. I think when everyone's saying, hey, just keep planting potatoes, or plant potatoes to get rid of symphyllins, well, I think that all that does is just make them migrate to the other beds so that they're not, because they don't want to eat the potatoes. So we'll see, but I'm going to plant these are Yukon Golds that I just got from the co-op. $2 a pound. Yukon Golds. See, they're already starting to chit. Look at that chit. And they're already starting to chit. They're already getting a little bit green. And so if I was paying for these to eat these, I would not be that happy, but, we are going to plant these out. And we're talking July 1st, planting of Yukon Golds. And it's going to be a fantastic harvest for the winter time, because we're just going to plant these and bury them in straw. And we're going to get a great harvest. And these will store all winter long because they're going to take the rest of the year to really formulate. So we're going to pull these up right before the frost, and it's going to be wonderful. So I'm going to make a video on that, actually. Yes. So oh yeah, man, I can feel them blood vessels dilating right away. Now, there's a question. Euphoric Naturals and Apothecary. That's a great channel name. It says, love your channel and sense of humor. I think we will look forward to see your new garden arrangement. I'm sure it will be beautiful. Thank you very much for that enthusiasm. And yes, I think it will as well, because when I originally formulated this garden, the number one factor was cost. I had zero money coming back out of the mountains. So I was just doing, everything was JDOM, everything was as cheap as possible. I mean, no money for infrastructure. So buying a bunch of lumber for raised beds was out of the question. I was going to places getting pallets and all that kind of stuff, which that's a wonderful way to do it. Very satisfying. And it grew food. It grows food. But now there's a little bit more funds. And so I can invest in the lumber for the raised beds and the drip system as well, which is good. There's trade-offs as well. If you have a bit of money to invest in it, not a lot, but like, some money, the whole entire project would be less than $1,000. That's talking with the drip lines and everything. And then it's so simple. You'll see. You will love it. It's going to be very simple. What's up, Esmas, my friend? And the Muddy Paws. Yeah, look at that shit. I know. Look at that chit. Just starting to chit. Guys, if you have not grown the toothache plant, you need to if you want to have a sort of novelty plant. I mean, it's cool, though. It's very unique. If you take this thing and start chewing on that, your entire mouth becomes numb. And I'm not talking about just a slight tingling. I'm talking numb, like you got shot with Novocaine or something. I mean, numb. You're almost talking like that. You can't feel your tongue and all that stuff. That thing is crazy. So, I mean, I don't get toothaches and I don't get pains and stuff really, but if you did, then this would be a good thing. So I'm thinking you could probably chew it up and then stuff it on topically, possibly. I mean, maybe I'll try that sometime, but I don't have ailments and stuff like that. So, but it's good to. I've dried them. I got about 40 of these flowers heads that I dried already. So we'll keep drying them, put them in a jar, and then if we get some kind of pain, we'll just like chew on it or something. Or if we just want to kind of wow people, when they come over, I'm like, hey, have you ever tried this? Chew on it. And they're chewing on it and they're like, oh my gosh. They'll spit it out and then the whole mouth's numb. Yeah. So, Donald Hughes says, what is the best plant to feed symphyllans? Anything. Virtually anything. Yeah. Virtually anything. Muddy Paws says, can we plant our toothache seeds now? I think so, definitely, yeah. Yeah, because they would naturally self-seed right now, just like the chamomile wants to self-seed right now. So you can get another run of chamomile if you plant your chamomile seeds now. Hogue says, Nate, seize the moment. Do it now. Are you talking about eating this? Or are you talking about restructuring the garden? What are you talking about? Because I don't give in to peer pressure anymore, okay? So, what plant is this, Noble Dar? It's called a toothache plant. Someone gave the scientific name for it. Spillanthus. Yeah. Yeah, Spillanthus. Thank you, AK Froggy. Lisa T says, does leaf mulch draw and keep symphyllans? Absolutely. I know the reason I got it is because I was bringing in way too much organic matter. Way too much. Because I'd never hit the upper limit. I had yet to hit the upper limit on that. So I'm just going to keep, that's how my mind works. That's how I'll just keep pushing it until I hit the upper limit, and figure out, okay, there's the limit. And so now we know, now we really know that organic matter is a wonderful thing to have to the soil to a point. Though, I mean, we had just too much. And so that's what brought them in. They love organic matter. They love really good structured soil. They crawl up and down through earthworm holes. They like the aggregates. I mean, that's why they're horrible for no-till gardening, because they only attack the best quality soils with the best structure. I know. So like one of the only cures for them is just to till your stuff into obliteration. I know. But we got a rototiller, the old Troy-built horse from the 70s. We got one of them old good ones. And it's like a real piece of farm equipment. It's awesome. So that thing will make child's play out of this. It will just till that whole garden up. I mean, big time. And then we'll make the beds, the boxes, and then we will rake and shovel out of the rows into the bed boxes, just like we did in Tennessee. Thank you, Justin. Let's see here. So a couple more things. Oh yes, one more thing was somebody, Devin Avery Boney Bates, sent me a box just sent me a box, and it has in it some of these wonderful handmade fishing lures. All right. So that's great because we need to go fishing because we really need to restock our supply of fish fertilizer. Definitely. He says, hi, Nate. My name is Devin. I operate a very small online bait company called Boney Baits in the small town of Webster, Massachusetts. He says, I'm sure you've seen my name on your channel. He says, I'm a gardener. I regularly watch your stuff. I've learned so much. My vegetables, yada, yada. He says, as a token of my gratitude, I sent you a few of my favorite colors and most popular colors of stick worms, along with a special bonus color, Northern Lights, that I felt would fit the Viking theme. Each bag of worms is handmade from scratch. Each bag of worms is handmade from scratch. That's cool. These fishing lures. It says, I do warn you, though, that they are scented. Apocalypse is scented with garlic. Creamed craw is with crawfish. And jelly and Northern Lights with shad. You can use them to catch fish for your fish fertilizers. Boney Baits is the name of it. A small place out of Webster, Massachusetts. So, okay. Thank you very much, my friend, for sending these. And guys, I mean, handmade. I mean, if I'm going to be getting fishing lures and stuff, then I'm going to be getting this kind. Because that's where it's at. Apocalypse, garlic. Which one should I open? Well, I don't want to open any yet until I'm going to use them. Because you want that scent to be, you can just tell. Yes. So we will see what we can catch with them. And we're going to make us some, fish amino acids. I got a barrel. And so when I get like 30 or 50, I'm going to get like 50 pounds of fish. Catfish, carp, whatever it is. And make a huge batch for next year. So yeah, Boney Baits. Thank you. Let's see here. A few more things, guys. You know, I'm not a big fan of starting up cucurbits, but this year I did because I had to because several reasons. But if you do, you want them to look about like this. You want them to be nice and healthy. Look at this. This is a China jade cucumber plant, and it is very healthy. And you see how it's only 2.5 weeks old, and it's just starting to get roots. See how thick and healthy those roots are? They're not dry and brown and withered away. So you want to plant them now. You don't want them to be all long and turning green or yellow. You don't want there to be a bunch of roots coming out because they will not recover. You will not get a good yield once they get past that point. So if you're going to plant them, if you're going to transplant them, watch the video I just released and I show you how to do it. You take them very gingerly, put your hand like that, tip it over, just tap it a little bit, comes out, gently put it in there, okay? And you can do it successfully, but right now is when you want to transplant them. I mean, look how healthy that thing is. So right now is when you want to transplant those. So see the thick, healthy white roots? That's what they need. Yes? So Brian Airy says, I love small businesses, making it work. Yes, definitely. So the Alex Forgay, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. I don't think I can see. Did you have a question with that? I can't see the question, but thank you very much for the contribution. Because I can't see a question if you have it because it says, let's celebrate their 5th super chat on a live stream. They're really keeping track, but thank you. Gabe Khan says, Nay, I'm in the UK. I chucked all my seeds on the ground and it's been super dry and hot recently. My watering can is broken and my hose pipe attachment is broke. Will my seeds be okay? Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that. But if you're in the UK, then you typically, I mean, they've got a very good growing climate for most things. It's overcast and plenty of moisture. So they'll probably be okay. But the plants that we grow for food are not very competitive. So they typically, I know it seems like, oh, just throw the seeds out and whatever grows, grows. Well, pretty much nothing is going to grow. The grass is going to grow and the weeds are going to grow. But your vegetable seeds are not really going to grow. It's in people's mind that you can just plant them out and they'll just kind of naturalize in the environment and just become part of one of the native plants. It just doesn't work that way. The plants that are there native are there for a reason. They've adapted that way. The vegetable plants just will not. The first season or two, it might work, but then it doesn't after that. So a lot of people think because they get volunteer tomatoes one year, they think, hey, well, the tomatoes will just keep coming back. So I'll just let them keep growing and multiplying. Pretty soon there will be tomatoes everywhere. It doesn't work like that. For a season or two, they will multiply, but then that's it. And you won't just keep getting more and more and more because they're not native and they will be outcompeted by the grasses and all the other native stuff. That's why they require tender, loving care from us. Okay? Yes, Hogue says, Nate, what's that small business? Yeah. Well, let's see here. Looks like that. BonyBaits88@gmail. Maybe they got a website. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But he said they're a very small business. So yeah, check them out. If you guys are into fishing, check it out. You know, we want to support everyone in the tribe. Okay, we want to support the tribe always. So if you're into fishing and you want to get some baits, hit them up. Give them some support. Tell them that you saw them on the Viking Live. So okay, Alex says, good morning, Nate. How should I transition from doing the compost tea and start with the bloom fertilizer? I'm doing some autos and they're going to start to bloom. Okay, you're doing some auto flowers. Then you should, it's the moment you see that bud, the flower set, I can say bud set, right? The moment that you see that, you want to switch away from the nitro. So don't be adding the fish, especially if it's an auto, then it's going to go. When it's time to go, it's going. So you want to switch away from the nitrogen stuff. So don't be adding the fish fertilizer and stuff like that. I will put out a video before too long. It won't be relevant for you at that time though. About the foliar tea for the bloom fertilizer. Okay. But you want to use things like high phos bat guano. In place of the more higher nitrogen stuff. Okay? But it also depends on what you've put in the soil. Everything really depends on what you're in the soil. Yeah? Yeah, Sam Potzik. Autos go without the 12-12. They will go just based upon number of days grown. Yeah. It's a whole different ballgame. But the... yeah, it really depends what you put in the soil. I mean, ideally, you'd have all your amendments in the soil and let it cook for, 6 weeks before you plant. And then plant into it and just top off with the aerated compost teas. Just top off the microorganisms and stuff with the teas. Yeah. Because if you do the soil right, guys, then you don't even really need to, the liquid, you don't need as much. But there's so many variables. It depends on what you guys got going on. Alex Forgay, another $2. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate the contribution. I think I'm going to try and find a place to play. It's just so healthy. I've got to try and find a place for it, you know? Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much for hanging out. I think that's it. All right. So we'll see you right here next week. And check out all the links in the description. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. I will try and get to them. Join the Viking Discord chat. Definitely post pictures of your garden. I will be doing I'm going to learn how to do giveaways this season before long. We're going to do a Viking granular nutrients giveaway. We're going to do a Egyptian walking onion giveaway. We're going to do there's this one company that has contacted me, and I finally see a product that I would even be willing to try, and it's a retractable garden reel. You know, they're like $280, so they're heavy duty, but it's a retractable reel. It looks to be pretty awesome. So I'm gonna see if they will send me 2 of them, one for me and one to give away to you guys, and then we'll do a giveaway for it. Yeah. So something like that is coming up. So, okay, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out. It's always a pleasure, and I will see you next week right here at the same time. Claire says, oh, don't do giveaways. Why not? What's wrong with that? I think giveaways are great, aren't they?